Okay, we're ready to begin, and I would like to call up for this very, very special third annual Women's Day tribute ceremony, Dina Smith, New York Police Department, to lead us in the national anthem, and Madison Garrett of the Girl Scouts to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and everybody should join in with them.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good morning and welcome to the third annual Women in Service Tribute Ceremony. I'm Assemblymember Rebecca Seawright, serving the Upper East Side, Yorkville, and Roosevelt Island. I am proud to serve as a co-chair of the committee along with community activist and leader, the fabulous Howard Teich. As we all know, Veterans Day is observed annually on November 11th on the anniversary of the end of World War I, to honor men and women who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. In keeping with this solemn occasion, the organizing committee 3 years ago revived a special tribute to spotlight the women who served to aid the war efforts. Today, we recognize the all-important role of those women and the women who are serving in active duties and roles today. With millions of men away from home, women filled manufacturing and agricultural positions on the home front. Others provided support on the front line as nurses, doctors, ambulance drivers, translators, and in rare cases on the battlefield. The American Red Cross operated hospitals to care for war casualties, staffed by nurses, hundreds of whom died in service during the war. In 1932, this memorial grove of 24 trees over here behind us and Flagstaff were installed to pay tribute to the women who were most eager to serve their country, but the least celebrated for their contributions. Over time, the memory faded of these heroic women and others who served. Today, this almost lost grove of trees is history. It remains the only memorial in Manhattan to women in the war effort. So we should gather together at this fitting and peaceful location to keep alive the spirit of their sacrifice and to recognize outstanding women for their contributions with this very special 2021 Women in Service Award ceremony. Let's start with a few words today from members of the organizing committee, beginning with my co-chair, Howard Teich. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. What she said is incredibly important. That's why we're having this event. During World War I, women couldn't serve in the U.S. military. They weren't allowed to. So they went over on their own, some serving with France, others setting up hospitals. And when they came back, the city of New York set aside this 2 blocks, spectacular, along Fifth Avenue, to recognize their service. Today's very special to us because we've broadened what this is as a place that we should be respecting and honoring women of service, not only in the military, but in our community. Those who served to help us with COVID, those with 9/11, those who are now serving on a continuing basis with the Red Cross and with others to make a difference. Women have been a force in our history, and now we have this grove and Flagstaff that represents the best of those stepping forward to say, as Americans, we can make a difference, we can help our brothers and sisters, and that's what we're doing today. We're recognizing them. We're honoring the fact that we have in New York City one of literally only a handful of celebration of women veterans in the entire country. And so we're looking to the fact that in America today, we want New York to be a centerpiece. We want people to come here and come over and respect the fact that back in the 20s, right as early as World War I, New Yorkers recognized the role of women and the importance and significance. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to our other, and invite them to come up, partners in putting on this program today. So I'll do the introduction so they can come up. Mary Barnaby, if she would come up, as CEO of the American Red Cross in Greater New York. Marion Cardo, who's president of the Columbus Citizens Foundation. And I'm not sure that Commissioner Hendon is here yet. If he is, if he would come up, that would be wonderful.
Thank you so much, Howard. I'm so proud to join you all today to recognize the remarkable women who serve our country and our local communities. I first want to thank my fellow event organizers for their vision and dedication to honor the amazing women who support our armed forces and our communities every day. The American Red Cross began as the vision of an extraordinary woman. Clara Barton risked her life to help wounded soldiers from the North and the South on the battlefields of the Civil War. Her selfless humanitarian action laid the foundation for our organization, which is now over 140 years old. Far ahead of her time, Clara forged a path for women, and today's American Red Cross women volunteers and employees proudly carry on Clara's tradition of service. This memorial in Central Park initially paid homage to the women who served during World War I. Several of them were Red Cross volunteers, as Howard said. Specifically in Europe, American women served with the Red Cross in civilian relief, as canteen workers, searchers, and in hospitals. The legacy of Clara Barton and all the women who followed in her footsteps is a strong and ever today reminder of what women can do to make the world a better place. Women at the Red Cross today are there for our veterans, active service members and their families 24/7 at every stage of their military service. They are there for communities coping with traumatic aftermath of disasters here in New York and all over the country. And they help prepare communities for the unexpected through preparedness education by teaching skills like CPR and first aid, and by helping to collect life-saving blood. We are grateful to celebrate and stand on the shoulders of these amazing women and all who serve and have served. I look forward to honoring one of our remarkable volunteers, Dottie Breyer, a little later in the program. Thank you all for being here.
Morning. morning. I'm Marion, Cardo, president of the Columbus Citizens Foundation. This past year has been an incredible year of remembrance, reunion, and resurgence. 2021, of course, marked the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and makes our memorial and this ceremony all the more meaningful. In many ways, we are dedicated to honoring the forgotten at this memorial, as this memorial was, until 3 years ago, forgotten. We are dedicated to honoring the women in service who faced the glass ceilings and indeed walked on the thin ice of uneven support. These women in service, though, faced even more, being willing to give their lives to protect and serve. In remembrance, I'd like to mention a woman today, Georgiana Derosa, a detective in the New York Police Department. Detective Derosa's story exemplifies the story of all women in service. In 1973, she became one of the very few women New York City police officers, rose to the rank of detective, then retired to serve a second career as an investigator in the Queens District Attorney's Office. Indeed, glass ceiling and thin ice were protecting and serving her entire life. At this third annual Women's Veterans Day tribute, we honor all the Detective Derosas today and the women who serve by rededicating again this beautiful grove in our magnificent Central Park. Thank you.
We also want to commend, and he will be here in a while, Commissioner James Hendon.
I'm right here.
Oh, you are? Oh, wonderful. I didn't see that.
Hey. Thank you so much. How's everybody doing today? Yeah. Beautiful weather, isn't it? Goodness gracious. Yeah. Well, as was mentioned, my name is James Hendon. I serve as Commissioner for the New York City Department of Veteran Services. I know that we're short on time, so I can't announce and honor all, but I will call out the names of our honorees, just to recognize them. Brigadier General Laurie Sutton. Yep. NYPD Chief of Interagency Operations Theresa Tobin. FDNY Battalion Chief Michelle Fitzsimmons. U.S. Coast Guard Captain Zita Merchant, Commander, Coast Guard Sector New York. Dottie Breer, Mental Health Volunteer, American Red Cross of Greater New York. And last but not least, Yesenia Mata, Executive Director for La Colmena. Let's give a round of applause, y'all. You can't talk about the growth of this country and what we have done in America as far as the greatness of it without showing the direct line between how, as time has gone by, more and more underrepresented people have gotten a seat at the table, particularly women. We pigeonhole it so much when we say sometimes, let's just focus on those who've done great things on the suffrage movement, which must be acknowledged and honored. But it's so much bigger than Sojourner Truth, so much bigger than Susan B. Anthony, so much bigger than Abigail Adams. It's areas in academia, areas in finance, areas in industry, in entrepreneurship, and government, places where women have stepped up to the plate and gone out to shine. Every single woman being honored today, and I'd argue every woman here, can think of at least one person for whom you stand on that person's shoulders. 1 to 100 people, if not more. We're honoring these ladies today. We're honoring Loree, we're honoring Theresa, Michelle, Zita, Dottie, and Yesenia, because they are this generation's giants. Women for whom others will stand on your shoulders years from now. We want to make sure we call you out while you're still alive. And so that being said, hey, we're gonna do it, yeah. On behalf of the city of New York, particularly its 210,000 veterans, of whom more than 14,000 and counting are women, we congratulate and honor all of the women being honored here today at this third annual Women's Veterans Day tribute ceremony. Let's give them one more round of applause.
And now I'd like to call up to the podium somebody really important, two people important to us. Jonathan Kuhn, who's with New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, in charge of all the monuments throughout the city, actually. And Mary Caracciolo of Central Park Conservancy, particularly to thank them for the weather that you arranged for Central Park today. Jonathan?
Thank you, Howard. Well, welcome to Central Park, everyone. I'd love to take credit for this weather, but this is fall in Central Park. There is no better place to be. and I can't think of a more lovely place to be today. So thank you all for coming, and as Howard mentioned, I'm with the Central Park Conservancy. If you don't know what that is, we're the organization or a nonprofit that takes care of the park. So all the care, maintenance, and even the big restoration projects, that's the Conservancy. So we are doing the work every day. So it's the arborist, it is the gardeners, it's the volunteers, it's the people who gather together to do the project up on the Harlem Mere, which is going to bring a new pool and rink to Harlem and East Harlem. These are the projects that we do and that we care about. But why we care about them is for moments like this. It brings the community together to celebrate. Sometimes that community is just two friends walking through the park together and having a moment of peace. Sometimes it's celebrating something big like this, the impact women have had on service throughout New York's history and throughout this country's history. The Conservancy is so proud to just say congratulations to the honorees, and you just heard all of their names. It is a really esteemed group. We thank them for their work, but more so, we thank them for the collaboration and the collaborative spirit each one of them brings to their work. By working together, we see how much we can do. At the Conservancy, we're part of a public-private partnership, and we've been able to restore this park in the last 40 years because it's a partnership. And that's what these women bring. They bring a sense of collaboration to their service. That service has changed New York, and it will help us emerge from this era. So I am so grateful for what they do, and I know that the Conservancy is too. And I would just leave you with saying thank you to all of our veterans, not just this week, but always. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Kuhn, Director of Art and Antiquities with Parks. I hadn't planned to speak. I was planning to listen, actually. But we oversee 850 monuments citywide in the park system, 275 of which are war memorials. They range from the Rockaway Doe Girl, by the way, in Rockaway Beach by Eileen Berry, to Margaret Corbin's monument in Fort Washington, honoring her heroic actions in the Revolutionary War. We celebrate that this coming Sunday. And I would like to point out we have a monument by Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney, the Washington Heights World War I memorial. She went overseas. She worked with the Red Cross at one of the hospitals on the outskirts of Paris, and she saw the tragedy of war and the traumas, physical and otherwise, that are brought upon those who served in war. And she came home and she became a sculptor. She founded the Whitney Museum and she created that memorial. I recommend you go see that. My only other comment is that many of our monuments, whether they're major or modest, at the time of their erection, there's enormous effort that goes into their creation. But over time, we tend to lose track of them, stop paying attention. I want to thank today the event organizer, Howard Teich, and all the women behind me and participants in today's event, because by your very presence here today, you reinvigorate the site and you renew the meaning of this memorial. Thank you.
Our next speaker really needs no introduction. She is the Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer, soon to be City Council, and I call her our modern day Eleanor Roosevelt. Borough President, Gail Brewer.
Thank you very much, Rebecca and Howard, and it really, every single year, it's such a privilege to be here before Veterans Day, but happy Veterans Day to everyone. I want to thank, obviously, the women who've been in the military. New York City is home to 165,000 veterans, 16,500 of whom are women, and New York State has 57,000 women veterans. I could go on and on about the Manhattan statistics, but I'll leave it at that. More than 100 years after World War I ended, we know that women veterans, and that's why we're here, still don't get their due. Too many women who've served in the military have the double injustice of being underestimated for their gender alone while on active duty. And then we know from being here and from knowing them that their contributions are minimalized or sometimes erased when we think about veterans. But this grove, thanks to Howard, Rebecca, and everyone here, and the Central Park Conservancy, is Manhattan's only memorial specifically for women veterans of any overseas war. Even though we're only where we are today as a nation because of the women who came before us and risked their lives, beginning, of course, with Margaret Corbin and including Kathy Williams, who to me is a story like none others. As we learn from the struggle to erect the suffragist monument in Central Park, and what a friggin' struggle that was, but it's so successful. The absence, you have no idea, the absence of appropriate memorials that honor the contributions of women is not limited to the remembrance of war. The task to rectify that neglect is part of our joint responsibility. But we, the amazing group that Howard and Rebecca have gathered here today, won't let the brave women who served on the front lines be forgotten. Nor will we rest until the achievements of all the heroic women who have served our country are remembered and commemorated as they should be. That's why we're here every year, to lift up women veterans and those who fight for them, like today's amazing honorees. Thank you very, very much.
A few years ago, in 2018, Assemblymember Rebecca Seawright and I co-chaired the Eastside World War I Centennial Commemoration. It was very important to us because we have York Avenue on the east side, and that was named after Sergeant Alvin York, great hero of World War I. And as part of that, we're thrilled that today the president of the 7th region is here, Thomas Principe. And another member of our commission, I'd like to introduce to you the president of the French War Veterans, who will introduce the French Consul General, Alain Dupuy.
Good morning, my name is Alain Dupuy, and I'd like to introduce you His Honor, the Consul General of France, Jérémy Robert.
Dear friends, as Consul General of France, I am deeply honored to be able to pay tribute to the women who served in the American Armed Forces with you today. France and the USA are the oldest allies, and we fought together in two of the gravest conflicts of the 20th century, World War I, World War II. Among the brave American heroes who served with us and for us in the struggles were many women. Many of the American women who served on the European front and in France were nurses, but some of them in World War I were also clerks in the armed force or telephone operators. In World War II, American women served near the front line in the Army Nurse Corps and were present on Normandy on D-Day +4. The role that these brave women played in these two world wars changed the course of history. They helped save our countries, our democracy. We will never forget their sacrifice. As representative of France, it is always very moving to pay tribute to the millions of American heroes who fought for us in these two wars. But it is even more poignant to honor these women whose role has somehow been forgotten or overlooked. For example, as it was said, there are very few memorials for women, and this has to be changed. Speaking of honoring women veterans, allow me to say that France will be entering the remains of World War II resistance and French and American hero Josephine Baker on November 30th, which is the greatest honor that our country can provide. She will entering the Pantheon for a final resting place, such as the biggest French people in the history of France. This will be a massive celebration. We will do also a celebration in Paris, and you're all invited. Thank you very much.
We will now begin the second part of our program, most important part of our program, the Women in Service Awards ceremony. We recognize here a series of women from different backgrounds who've served our community as veterans, as members of our community, in so many ways, COVID, 9/11, and otherwise. So I ask at this point if Assemblymember Rebecca Seawright would please come up to begin the ceremony.
Thank you, Howard Teich. And next, for our next introduction and first award, I am very honored and pleased to have as our next speaker someone that is very special in the state of New York because she is the first woman governor to serve in that position. She started out as her local town board clerk, Erie County clerk, then as a member of Congress for New York's 26th congressional district. Recently serving as New York's lieutenant governor and now as the chief executive of our great state. And she is so dedicated to women, women's issues, and to women veterans, to all veterans. She is a passionate fighter for equality, a defender of our most vulnerable citizens, and a champion for all veterans and the sacrifices they have made. Her message to veterans is clear. You protected us, and now we must and will protect you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the 57th governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, everyone. I am deeply humbled to be recognized along with others who literally put on a uniform to go into harm's way to protect our freedoms and our homeland. So thank you for this gift, something that I'll cherish, I'll put in my office, so I'm always reminded of the people that we fight for who fought for us. So to Assemblymember Rebecca Seawright, I thank you for nominating me and presenting this. Also, Assemblymember Raj Kumar, I know how to say that, I'm good. I also want to acknowledge our fire commissioners here, Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer is here as well, Mary Barnaby, the New York Red Cross as well, and Marion Cardo, who I saw just a few weeks ago with Columbus Citizens Foundation. Many great individuals have stepped forward today, but we're also called to remember those who stepped forward in the past. And I'm going to little hometown privilege here. There's also a significant woman who made a major contribution who has not been recognized the way I think she should. And that is someone from Buffalo, Mary Talbert, who was the founder of the NAACP, who also put on a uniform and led women into World War I onto the battlefield as a member of the Red Cross. And I think about this woman who's known for her work in social justice, equal justice, racial justice, but also stood among our soldiers in harm's way, doing everything she could to protect and help those heal who had been harmed on the battlefield. So I just wanted to give a special tribute to her as well and make sure that she is in the annals of history when we talk about the brave soldiers, the female women who stepped forward. As a member of Congress, I served on the House Armed Services Committee. In that role, I traveled to Afghanistan. I went to 5 bases in Helmand Province, in Kandahar, Kabul, other places that you see only in the news. I had a chance to do something that was extraordinary, a unique experience, and that was to sit down with the women in uniform. The women who signed up, many of them after 9/11, who felt that patriotic surge of duty that she wanted to serve, they wanted to serve. But I will tell you, my friends, it was the conditions that they were in, the threat of sexual harassment and assault, something that my good colleague, my great friend, Senator Jill Wren, has championed for decades, that still exists in the military today. So to me, it is a disgrace that these women are willing to do what they have to do to protect all of us, and I believe we have to do more to protect them. So let's honor those who serve now and performed a unique service to us. And what I did was go into the homes of the Afghan women with these women because the male soldiers were not allowed. The Afghan women told us intelligence, gave us shared information that was vitally important to the success of our troops. The only reason they gave that information up is that there were women in uniform. Men could not attain this information. They don't get the credit for that either. And I will live my entire days knowing that we need to do more to protect and serve those who protected and served us. When they come home and they are supposed to blend into society despite the scars, the psychological and sometimes physical wounds they have, we have to do more. We have to do so much more for our recently returning veterans to make sure that they don't fall between the cracks, end up on our streets, that they are provided a home, a job, an education, because they are willing to give their entire life for all of us. At least we can do is make sure their lives when they return are more enriched and are better. And to the women who served throughout our history, and more recently on the front lines of battle, I say on behalf of 20 million New Yorkers, we are grateful. We are grateful. We want to honor you and not just call you heroes, but treat you like you deserve to be treated, with respect, free from assault, free from harassment, so you can simply do your jobs. That's what we're going to continue fighting for. Our work is not done, but in places like this we can talk, but we also have to go out there and walk, and do the walk, and show them that we are honoring them by our actions and our legislation. So thank you, my friends. Thank you for this honor, and I will join you in fighting to honor the memory of those who are gone, but those who are still in harm's way, protecting all of us. Thank you.
And now I'd like to call to the podium Assemblymember Jennifer Raj Kumar to present the award to Brigadier General Laurie Sutton.
Good afternoon. I'm Assemblywoman Jennifer Raj Kumar from Queens. Queens actually has the highest number of veterans of any borough in our city. And I am so proud to be here today to honor the very brave women who have served our country and put their lives on the line for our country. I'm proud to say that when I was sworn to the State Assembly, the very first committee that I chose to sit on was the Veterans Committee, because those who put everything on the line for our country deserve our full support. And I'm here today to honor an incredible, courageous woman, Laurie Sutton, retired from the U.S. Army. And I would like to dedicate one of my favorite poems to her. I also happen to know it's one of Governor Hochul's favorite poems. And this is by President Teddy Roosevelt, said in 1910. It's called The Man in the Arena. But I'm going to change it for today and call it The Woman in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong woman stumbles. The credit belongs to the woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, for there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who, at the best, knows the triumph of high achievement? And who, if she fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls that know neither victory nor defeat.
I'm here today to honor all our brave women veterans and to present this award to Laurie Sutton. Laurie Sutton is retired from the U.S. Army, and she has dedicated nearly 4 decades to public service. She has received recognition for her role in Operation Desert Storm and for her experience as a psychiatrist, developing specialized veterans programs to improve veterans' lives after they serve. And she has specialized in helping to treat PTSD. And I want to thank her because this is so important to so many of my constituents. And she has called this her most important life's work. So thank you so much, Laurie Sutton. I would like you to come up so I can present you with this award.
Thank you so much, Assembly Member. We are blessed to have your leadership. I look forward to working with you in your post on the Veterans Committee in Albany. Listen, y'all, is today a great morning to come together and celebrate women veterans of service in Central Park, or what? We are blessed. Behind my left shoulder, we've got the Grove, the historical Grove, honoring our giants. Behind my right shoulder, we have women who are bathing in Central Park in November. Is this a great city or what? Yes. And directly behind me, you'll see my circle of sisters. Those women who, yes, have dared greatly. Those who have not settled for never knowing defeat or never knowing victory, but who have been in the arena, continue to be in the arena today. And I will tell you, there's no greater privilege. We are all veterans of service. Some of us have served in military uniform, including our great Coast Guard sister. Some of us have served in fire department, police, EMT. Some of us have served in Red Cross uniforms. Some of us have served on the front lines of public service and community service. But we are all banded together in this moment, knowing that whatever we have done that has brought us to this moment in history, our most important work lies ahead. Let's continue to meet on the high ground. I'll see you there. I'll be the one with a big grin. Thank you so much. God bless.
And now I'd like to introduce Commissioner Dan Nigro, Fire Department of New York, presenting to Fire Department New York Battalion Chief Michelle Fitzsimmons.
Hi there. Thank you. All right, Michelle. You know, women have served in the New York City Fire Department now for almost 40 years, and yet sometimes people still ask me, are women serving as firefighters? Can women be firefighters? Some people are very slow learners. And all I have to do is point to Michelle and say, not only do they serve as firefighters, they lead firefighters. So Michelle started her career with us just before 9/11. What a difficult time. She fought fires as a firefighter in Queens. She was promoted to lieutenant. That's not an easy task. Went up to Washington Heights and led firefighters up there. Studied again for captain, made that rank, became a captain here in Manhattan and Chelsea. In the meantime, she taught our probies in probie school, and she even founded a camp for young women so they could learn about what it is. See, one of our troubles is there are thousands of young women who can be firefighters, but they don't all know it's a possibility for them. And Michelle spread that word for us. Lo and behold, she studied again, and now she's a battalion chief, leading hundreds of people. And we're very, very proud of her accomplishment. It's not an easy thing. We have 11,000 members of the fire department, and only a few hundred reach where Michelle is now. And I think she still has a way to go. She's still quite young. So congratulations, Michelle. You deserve it. You deserve every honor you get. We appreciate you.
You want me to hold the one?
I'm so grateful to be recognized, and as the commissioner said, I hope that I can be an example for young girls that if you really want to do it, anything is possible. I would not be where I am if it hadn't been for the women who came before me. I can never get up and speak as a battalion chief and not recognize Battalion Chief Rocky Jones, who retired 10 years ago, who was the first woman to be a battalion chief in the city. And I'm grateful to the fire department for all the opportunities I've been given to serve my city. I'm so grateful to be able to come out every day and serve the city as a firefighter and help people at their time of need. And because of the fire department, I can do that. I've been offered so many opportunities to do that, and thank you very much for this recognition.
And now I'd like to call up to the podium Commissioner, the New York City Division of Veterans Services, James Hendon, who will be presenting the award to U.S. Coast Guard Captain Zeta Merchant.
So happy to be with you today to just recognize Captain Zeta Merchant, Commander of Coast Guard Sector New York. Just to call out a few things on her biography before we put this award on her. You know, currently, as mentioned, she commands the Coast Guard Sector New York. Prior to that, she served as commander for the Coast Guard's Marine Safety Unit in Chicago. When you think about Zeta, think about emergency management expertise. She is one of the premier emergency management experts under the Coast Guard. You know, prior to that, she served as an incident commander in Texas, in Puerto Rico. When we think about Hurricanes Harvey and Maria, providing guidance and logistical leadership there, especially on the maritime level. Prior to that, she was an XO of a Marine Safety Unit in Texas. She's also served as a military congressional fellow in the 111th and 112th Congress. She spent time in Sector Miami for the Coast Guard. As far as degrees, Zeta holds a Bachelor in Sciences in Biology, a Master's in Sciences in Quality Systems, a Master in Public Administration, a Doctorate in Business Administration, and the cherry on top. Y'all keep clap for that. You clap for that. Cherry on top. She served as an MIT Seminar 21 Fellow, and most recently she was a National Defense Fellow for Harvard Kennedy School's Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs. Give her a round of applause. Now that's all the resume stuff. I had to get through the resume stuff. We got to respect that side of it. Just want to call out the things that you don't see when you go through these descriptions, when you go through the resume. One is the intellectual curiosity that Zeta holds. Before she found a recruiter while she was in college at Tougaloo College in Mississippi, she was studying to become a doctor, studying medicine. As many of us who've served know, you find a recruiter and you wind up in and things change a bit, but for her, that level of discipline and intellectual curiosity and tenacity that she brought to medicine has been brought to the Coast Guard in the emergency management space. Another one to talk about is compassion. To do the work that Zeta does is not just to sit behind a cubicle and make certain plans, especially her emergency management identity. It is to sit and meet with people on what is the worst day of their lives and help them figure out how to get better. You need certain gifts to do that when it comes to human and emotional intelligence, when she has in spades. Another one I got to call out is the three-dimensional leadership component that Captain Merchant brings to the table. Knowing her as a colleague and someone who's worked with her in government, she, I tell you, is someone who will always think about how to manage up, manage down, what's going on to her left, what's going on to her right, and what is happening in the past, the present, and the future when thinking about decisions. So she is a gifted decision maker. And then, you know, I have to talk about this one too. Last but not least, when we see what's not on the resume, it is Zeta's courage as a pioneer. Now, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. I know it's at least 2 jobs like this. Zeta, how many roles have you filled where you were the first Black woman to fill the role? Give me the count. I know Chicago is one. I know this one is one. Keep going.
All of them in the Coast Guard.
All of them in the Coast Guard. Hear that? 15% of the Coast Guard is female. 5.8% is Black. Less than 10% is officers. You do that math, you see there are very few people who are like this doing these things. And many of us know what it's like to have to do your day job, but also need to carry that additional weight of bringing your sisters and your people of color up behind you. And so for that, and everything that you do and continue to do, I always tell her, I'm gonna tell people I knew her way back when. So I get my autograph now, you all should too. Yo, Let's give one round of applause, a big one, for Captain Zita Merchant. Let's give you the award. We give you the award, so we can give you the award. All right, y'all have seen it done over and over again. Women in Service Award presented to Zita Merchant for Women's Veterans Day Tribute Ceremony. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. James, I don't know if I can follow that. I think the best thing I can do is just walk away and say thank you. But being here today remind me of why I served. And I look at the first uniforms that I wore, be it American Red Cross, being a volunteer in Mississippi, Girl Scout. That was one of the first uniforms I ever wore, Girl Scout. Let's give it up for the Girl Scouts. But it really brings me here today to say thank you. Thank you to all the women who served before me, the ones that continue to serve beside me, the ones that continue to be here right here today representing the Coast Guard, people from my unit. And I would love to say that as we stand here right now, women in service and in service are on equal footing with our counterparts. There are no more obstacles, there's no more doors to knock down, no more glass ceilings, but that's not the case. The women, like the one that we honor with this Serenity Grove here, burn the path with the light of their endurance, fueled by their blood, sweat, and tears of perseverance, so that we could see and we will be here today. Only because of them, we are here today. And I just want to leave you with this poem that we wrote to represent not only myself, but all the women here today being honored. And we are leaders, we are teachers and guides through untold storms. We are risk takers and decision makers, and the calm voice helping people return home. We are first responders, we are volunteers, and the inspiration to our teams. We are innovators and barrier breakers and the fulfillment of little girls' dreams. We are honor, we are respect, we are devotion to duty. Integrity is our shield. We are clothed with moral conduct, upholding the highest ideals. We lean forward with our mission, and our people and our partnerships are our pride. We are the heart and soul of our service. We are diversity personified. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams, vision of the future realized. We are humble, we are authentic, we are magnificent, we are bold, we are here. Thank you so much.
Got a couple more. It's unbelievable to listen to all of these people. At this point, I would like to ask the New York Red Cross CEO, Barnaby, to come up and present the award to Dottie. Where are you? Dottie Breyer, Mental Health Volunteer, American Red Cross of Greater New York.
Wow, what a morning. Dottie, I couldn't be prouder than to present the Women in Service Award to longtime New Yorker, you're such a New Yorker, Dottie, and American Red Cross volunteer, Dottie Breyer. Dottie is more than a remarkable woman, and she's a pioneer in the field of disaster mental health. So important. You know, we talk about all the work that we do to help people recover from disasters, but the other piece of it that Dottie is really was a pioneer in was that mental health piece, the ability to give people the ability to emotionally address the trauma and move on. Though she officially joined the Red Cross after retiring from her long career as a social worker nearly 30 years ago, her connection to our organization started much earlier than that. As a teenager during World War II, she actually knitted squares that would be used to create blankets for the soldiers fighting in Europe. Since the early 1990s, Dottie has used her professional skills as a social worker and her unwavering kindness and compassion to help individuals and families cope with trauma and tragedy at the front lines of countless national disasters, including regional disasters, and some of the most high-profile ones, such as Hurricane Andrew, the Oklahoma City bombing, Superstorm Sandy, and 9/11, just to name a few. Dottie was there. At 91 years young, she continues to serve with us as a volunteer and a role model, and her work inspires a whole new generation of volunteers who are eager to follow in her footsteps. Dottie, we love you.
Thank you very much, Mary, and to all the committee who did plan this wonderful event. I must say I am very, very grateful to Red Cross for the opportunity to be of help. As a child in the Second World War, we were led to believe that we were going to be responsible for our winning the war. I want you all to know that it was those blankets that did it. And then as I work as a mental health lead for almost 30 years, I just found Red Cross to be a fabulous agency to work for, and I'm very grateful. And I'm also very grateful to receive this award and to receive it along with 6 other very remarkable women, and I feel very honored. Thank you very much.
And now I would call up to the podium our newly elected, officially, Councilwoman on the East Side, Julie Menon, and she will be presenting the award here to Yesenia Mata.
Great, thank you so much, Howard, and I really want to thank Howard and our Assemblymember Rebecca Seawright for putting this fantastic event together. So again, I'm Julie Menon. I'm the newly elected City Council member on the East Side, and I have to say it's an honor to be here today. My father was a doctor in the Army, and so as we lead into Veterans Day, I'm certainly thinking about him and his service. But we're clearly here today to celebrate women in service, and to be around all of these spectacular women of service is really inspirational. I have the honor of presenting an award to someone that I had the pleasure of working with, Yesenia Mata, Executive Director of La Colmena. La Colmena is a fantastic organization in Staten Island. I served as a city census director, and we partnered with La Colmena to make sure that everyone in Staten Island was counted for the census. And Yesenia is clearly a young leader in Staten Island. She represents the borough on New York City's recently formed Racial Justice Commission. She's a member of the U.S. Army Reserve, and she's one of 11 representatives tasked with identifying and uprooting systemic racism. She also advocates for low-wage immigrant workers as executive director of La Colmena, and I couldn't be more proud to be presenting her with this incredibly well-deserved award.
Flip it over. Yeah.
Buenos dias. My name is Yesenia Mata. I am the Executive Director of La Colmena, a day labor and immigrant rights organization based in Staten Island. I am also a 31 Bravo military police specialist in the U.S. Army Reserve. I want to thank the elected officials and the organizers that took the time to have this event. You see, it is important to acknowledge women who have served and are currently serving. Only 1% of the population serves in the armed forces. Out of that 1%, a few are women. You see, it hasn't been long ago where women were allowed to join the military. It hasn't been long ago where women were allowed to practice and train with their male battle buddies. And it hasn't been long ago where women of color were allowed to join the military. Being in the military, and I know many of my female battle buddies can say this, it's not easy. It requires hard work. I always wanted to serve. You see, I come from a Latino family, so serving our community is one of our values. I remember when I would tell people that I wanted to join the military, and I remember the constant feedback of gaslighting that I would get. I would either get, "Are you sure you want to join? You're a woman. Are you sure you could make it? You're 5'1". And are you sure you want to be a military police? Because I don't think you're fit for it. And I remember that would cause doubt. And it took some time for me to summon up the courage and say, I am joining and I will make it. It was in basic training where I saw that myth was not true. You see, the training that women have to endure during basic training is not fit for the female body. There are many studies that show the injuries that the training does cause. But you see, I saw women pushing through it. Whenever we felt like giving up, it was the sisterhood that we built inside basic training that we pushed one another. And we made it. We made it to the finish line. And it's that same friendship that I see in my unit, women supporting one another. Because we understand that opening that door of opportunity for other women, it is important. And we know that when another female sees us, they know that they too can make it. And this is an important lesson that I learned in the military. Another important lesson that I learned, and I hope that the world can learn it one day, is that it didn't matter, and it doesn't matter if you're black, brown, yellow, Democrat, Republican. When you see your battle buddy, all you see is green. And you know that the oath that you took was to ensure that you never leave a soldier behind. That your duty is to ensure that your battle buddy can make it back home. Because next to your battle buddy, their families are there. And this is why I want to conclude to thank all those families that have someone who has served and is serving, because you are the pillar of the military. And I want to thank you for your service. Thank you.
And now to present our next award is a very special activist, Helene Goldford. She's 92 years old and is the chair emeritus of the Feminist Press in New York. Helene, to present to Ria Tobin.
Sorry for my slowness. Theresa Tobin is the Chief of Interagency Operations with the New York Police Department. She comes from a family of police officers with a father and 3 siblings, having also served with the New York Police Department. During 9/11, Tobin was on duty at the towers and sustained serious injuries, later saying the experience deepened her commitment as a police officer. 10 years later, Tobin earned her doctorate in criminal justice, working steadily throughout her recovery. She has been honored for her heroism with the New York Police Department Medal of Valor, and since rose to become a 2-star assistant chief, one of just 4 women leading the department who have been promoted to that role. It is my pleasure to introduce Ria Tobin to get this award. Here you are. Hi. Lovely to meet you.
I know I'm the last one, and I also know that you've been standing for an hour. So very succinctly, I am grateful for the women who have come before me. I am honored to be awarded this with the people that I am being honored with today. especially those who I have and currently work with in government service. And lastly, I, along with the other members of the NYPD, remain committed to the citizens of the City of New York. Thank you.
I speak for all of us, and especially for the women here, that we are truly honored to share this red carpet with the women who have been honored today. And I will also echo what others have said. The women who serve, whether they serve on domestic soil, whether they're in uniform or just in leadership roles, do face the glass ceilings and the thin ice. But I think the women who are here today prove that all of that can be overcome and will continue to be the role models to help all women overcome. And we thank them for being here.
I want to piggyback on Marion too, and just take a moment to call out the committee that put this together. Wasn't this a wonderful event, everyone? Let's just give a round to everyone who did this, for all of the organizers, the speakers, and the honorees. And at this time, I'd ask that Assemblymember Seawright and that Mr. Teich, please, if you all can come up. I hold here a departmental citation. It says, the New York City Department of Veteran Services recognizes the annual Women in Service ceremony in Central Park for steadfastly celebrating those women who have selflessly served community and country. Signed November 9th, 2021 by myself. Congratulations so much for the work you've done, and thank you for all of you.
I just want to say how inspiring it has been to be here today, and I just, I think back of the past, and I think back of the women that we're honoring, but I am just so inspired for the women that we will honor today and tomorrow and years to come. So thank you all for this wonderful day.
We do thank Howard and Rebecca for their incredible leadership. And now,
I just want to say a quick quote. I got to say this. If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. I just wanted to end it with that. End it on that note. It's the truth. It's the truth. And also now turn it over to Maria Vapiano, who will lead us in America the Beautiful. Thank you.
Please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you all for attending, and thank you to our media for covering this event today. Thank you all.